Here we go. It's Plays and Parlays, episode 11, which means that we are, considering we took 2 bye weeks, heading into week 13 of the NFL season. I'm Joe Serralo. That's Jarrett Bailey. I'm repping my Bonnies. After all, this is a betting show. The Bonnies were 24.5-point favorites tonight, going into their matchup with 1-9 Coppin State out of the MEAC in college hoops. And the last I saw, we were losing at halftime. So hopefully it's not one of those nights for me. Jared, how have you been the past, what's it been, 2 weeks since we had a show?
Yeah, we took last week off for Thanksgiving. How was your Thanksgiving, by the way? Was it good?
It was great. I'm Italian. We had pasta, some gabagool. It was great.
I'm glad to hear it. But yeah, glad that this isn't a college basketball betting show because you would be doing it on your own. But no, I'm doing okay. Like I told you before the show, Twitter took away my blue badge for whatever reason. So if you're watching this and want to start a hashtag of Free Jarrett Bailey, by all means, do that at your own will. But
well, I am on your
other than that,
page.
I'm great.
I'm on your Twitter page right now, and I'm trying to find something that, as my camera just decides to shift for no reason, I'm trying to find something that can get your blue badge taken away. I mean, there has to be some tweet.
I did look into it a little bit. So when I applied, I used articles from Sports Illustrated. I'm no longer at Sports Illustrated. And that was one of the criteria, like if you're no longer in a certain position, that it can be taken away. I think that is why. We'll see going forward, but that would be my best guess.
Okay. Gotcha. I thought it was because you actually wanted people to tell you about their Spotify Wrapped. I thought that was the reason you got
I do. I love it. I do. I enjoy it. Oh, me, man, dude. Okay. It's Christmas, Thanksgiving, my birthday, Spotify Wrap Day. Those are my 4 favorite days of the year. It's great.
Wow. You know what? I'm not gonna lie. I actually kind of enjoy it too. I just figured it'd be an easy
You like
thing
being,
to give you shit for.
Yeah, I was gonna say you thought that you could get me with a cheap jab.
Well, what I don't like is I feel left out because I'm not a Spotify user.
Well, fix that.
Well, so the thing is with Apple, it's like they tell you with Apple Music, first off, it's kind of crappy, their algorithm. Like if you don't finish a song, it diminishes plays. So it's never really accurate because I'm one of those people that notoriously skips songs in the final 15 seconds.
I'm not riding with you in the car ever.
So no, I just mean like when the music's fading out, I'm like, oh, why would I waste 6 seconds?
Oh, sure. Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. So Apple's not really accurate, and then they don't do podcasts, which bothers me because I want to know what podcasts I'm listening to more so than the music. But Jarrett, let's dive right in. You said thank God it's not a college basketball show, but I'm starting off with college football. I went 4-2 last week, kind of got back on track after 2 straight weeks in a row where my lock of the week missed. Got back on track, taking Baltimore barely on Sunday night. So let's start things off with the ACC title game. You've got the Pitt Panthers and the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. Neither team named Clemson. I think that's surprising to a lot of us going into this ACC championship game. You've got Pittsburgh, currently the 3rd best team in the country against the spread, coming in at 9-3 on the season. The only teams better, Michigan, who's also in their conference's title game. They were 10-2 against the number. And then Oklahoma State 9-2-1 against the spread. Of course, that lone push coming this past week against Oklahoma, that one stunk. I thought Oak State had that in the bag for me, and they pushed. You've got Wake Forest just 1-2 against the spread as an underdog. They haven't played up to competition. Look, they've dominated the bad teams that they've played and the mediocre teams as well, but when they play a really good team, they fail to show up. Offensively, these teams match up evenly in almost every category, right? They both average 43 points per game. They both have stud quarterbacks who love to air it out, and their ground game averages are within 10 yards of each other. They are completely symmetrical offensively. Defense is where the difference lies in this one, and I think Pittsburgh has a way better defense than Wake Forest. Pitt's not winning games 55-52 like Wake is. They're winning games 48-31. And more specifically, Pittsburgh has the best run defense in the ACC this season. So if you make Wake Forest's offense one-dimensional, you force them to throw the ball more times than they want to, that's how you win this game by at least a field goal.
Yeah, obviously I live about a minute walk or 15-minute walk away from Carson Street in Pittsburgh. So the city's been buzzing about Pitt's success this year. It'll be exciting. And yeah, like you said, surprising that Clemson isn't in this. That's probably the most shocking thing about this game. Let me jump into mine. I'll start off with the Thursday night game. I'll take Dallas minus 4.5 against the Saints because Taysom Hill's starting, and it's time for Jarrett Bailey to get into his notorious hatred for the narrative on Taysom Hill. By the way, I have a new get rich scheme. I'm just gonna put on a Taysom Hill jersey, go stand in downtown New Orleans, and wait. I feel like
I think that was the tweet that got you kicked.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. Maybe whoever runs
it.
Twitter verification just loves the Saints, and I pissed him off one too many times. I figured it out.
Or he's a BYU alum.
There we go. So, Dallas is in a weird spot right now. I mean, they lost last week on Thanksgiving, and they were down earlier to Vegas. They came back, forced overtime. It's a weird game. Regardless, Dallas is the far better team than the Saints are. Now, I get that this is on the road. When New Orleans is at home, it's a different atmosphere there. Still, though, Dallas feels like a team that they're going to run away with this division. That's pretty much a given at this point. I don't think Philadelphia is a threat. I don't think as much love as I gave the Giants coming into the year, I don't think they're going to just completely turn around in the second half. So, look, Dallas defensively does have its issues at times. As great as Trevon Diggs is, he does get beat a decent amount as well. But Micah Parsons looks really good. And we know how good the offense is and how explosive they are. So Dallas minus 4.5 bounce back after the loss on Thanksgiving.
I like it. Probably a game I'm going to stay away from just because that 4.5 number can be a little tricky. And you never know. Taysom Hill, look, I hate him probably just as much as you. I don't understand why he.
I don't hate the guy. I can't stand. Sure, he's a great guy.
I mean, look, nothing personal, but he is such a waste of salary cap space, in my opinion. I mean, people want to talk about his versatility. He gives you 10 snaps a game. Yeah, sure, he blocks out of the slot 3 times, like really well. I mean, I'm sorry, it just makes no sense to me. But we've seen quarterbacks who make no sense come out there and in their first game of the season, the Mike Whites and such, just air it out. So he scares me a little bit. Being a home game for him scares me a little bit. Just enough to stay away, not enough to play the Saints. My second pick, sticking with College Championship Saturday. I can't wait for this one. It's the game everyone's waiting for. Top-ranked Georgia versus third-ranked Alabama. And this is the game where Kirby Smart finally beats his mentor and takes down Nick Saban. The Bulldogs are 5.5-point favorites, might be up to 6 depending on where you look. And they're beating everyone by 3 possessions this year. Why should I believe that Alabama is any different? I know they're 11-1. I know they're ranked 3rd. But look at the way these two teams are beating their opponents, right? You've got Georgia, who's 8-4 against the spread, which is very good. I mean, not incredible, not like 10-2 like Michigan, but it's very good. But the spreads that they aren't covering are 40-point spreads in games that they're winning by 37, or 21-point spreads like the Kentucky game where they only won by 17 because Kentucky was down 30-7 and needed to score that last-second touchdown as time expired. It was a meaningless touchdown. Garbage time points are the only way that Georgia isn't covering. I mean, Alabama, on the other hand, who's just 6-6 against the spread, one of the worst spread cover seasons in Saban history, Alabama's not covering because they're favored by 21 points to Auburn, and they get shut out for the first 51 minutes of the game and only win by 2. I mean, if you look at Alabama's wins over LSU, Arkansas, and Auburn, 3 teams who the best out of those 3 is, I believe, ranked 23rd. That's Arkansas. LSU and Auburn were both 6-6 this year. Alabama's 3 wins over those opponents came by a combined 9 points. Georgia only has 1 win by less than 9 points, and that was when they beat Clemson 10-3 on opening day. I mean, these two teams are not as close as their respective rankings would indicate. I think Georgia's going to win this one by double digits. Minus 5.5 might be a steal.
All right. College Football Championship Saturday. Go college football. All right, let me get into my second pick. We're going to take the Chargers +3 against the Bengals. Bengals put an ass beating on the Steelers this past week, mate. It was, oh my goodness, it was unwatchable. And look, good for the Bengals. I think they're going to be playing meaningful football until the last week of the season. Would not shock me if they hold one of those wild card spots. I think the Chargers are just better. Now, Chargers are horrible against the run, and that's one thing that Cincinnati could have in their favor is that if they keep feeding Joe Mixon, he's going to I think he had 160 rushing yards last week against Pittsburgh. Going up against the Chargers' run defense, that is one thing that could play to Cincinnati's advantage. But the Chargers, man, I mean, my man crush on Justin Herbert. I love their offense. Austin Eckler's a baller. Mike Williams, getting out. Like we can list all the players all we want. The Chargers do have a very good pass defense, though, and Joe Burrow has been known to get careless with the football this year. I think that could be maybe the biggest determining factor here is turnovers. Justin Herbert protects the ball. Joe Burrow does get a little bit reckless with the football. I think Chargers +3. I think they actually win this game outright. But in terms of betting, I'll bet them just to cover.
This is a weird game for me. It's like if we're going based off trends here, the Bengals are the hot team. They're at home. The Chargers just lost a bad game they should have won against the Denver Broncos. All signs would point towards the Bengals. But the Bengals had a performance like this past Sunday earlier this year, probably more impressive the way that they thrashed the Baltimore Ravens, who of course are better than the Steelers. That's why, in my opinion, it was a more impressive game. And they followed that up with a loss to the Jets, and then by getting blown out by the Cleveland Browns. So I can't really figure this Bengals team, and similarly, no one can figure the Chargers. I mean, there are three teams, in my opinion, you stay away from. It's the Chargers, the Bengals, and the Minnesota Vikings. So for that reason, I'm going to stay away from this game. And my third pick is going to take it from the AFC North to the NFC North, where the Chicago Bears are going to lay down like little girls to Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals. I think 7.5 is actually pretty generous here. Look, Kyler has sat out the past 2 weeks. He also had a bye to recover. I think he's back to practically full health. And whether he has DeAndre Hopkins or not healthy and beside him, I think that Kyler, mixed with the receiving core of guys like Rondale Moore, Christian Kirk, and the Cardinals' very impressive run game this year, is enough that the Bears just won't be able to catch up. The Bears just don't have the juice on offense. I love Justin Fields. I think that he can have a great future in this league, but this year has just been an abomination. Their offensive line stinks. They have a decent, sneaky little run game, but they can't establish the pass enough, and that run game is not going to last you 60 minutes of contention with a team like the Arizona Cardinals. Look, the Cardinals are 8-3 against the spread. It's the second best record in the NFL. Only the Green Bay Packers, who are on their bye this week, are better. And to me, the most impressive number that the Cardinals boast this year is that they are 6-0 against the spread on the road. Like I said, I think this is a bit of a generous number, and road teams usually find generous numbers. That's why road teams are covering it such a higher percentage than home teams in the NFL this year. Cardinals are going to win this one by double digits. So minus 7.5, usually it's a number I stay away from. I'm hammering it this week.
I'm going to pretty much echo what you just said, because I'm also going to take the Cardinals minus 7.5. Look, Kyler's been banged up. DeAndre Hopkins has been banged up. But the Cardinals held their own in that little span where they were without Kyler Murray. Reports coming out, it looks good that, both of them should be playing this game. I think it's pretty much all but guaranteed that they will. So, look, Chicago, they had to go to a final drive field goal to beat the Lions on Thanksgiving. That should tell you all you need to know about this team. I think Justin Fields is also practicing, so, there's a chance that he returns soon. I don't know if it's going to be this Sunday. So it could be, more than likely it'll be Andy Dalton. But the Bears have zero explosiveness on offense. They could, but their play calling is horrible. So look, Arizona's offense is the complete opposite of Chicago. It's bombs away, piss missiles all over the field. Go crazy, boys. And defensively, Arizona's been phenomenal this year as well. Just one of the best well-rounded teams in football. Minus 7.5, you said it. Feels like a very generous number. I think that they covered. They should win by double digits.
And God, wait until we can get that number into a teaser. I'm sure we both have that worked in later on in the show. My fourth pick, I'm going with another pretty big road favorite. It's the Indianapolis Colts minus 9 at Houston. Look, don't look too much into what Houston did against Tennessee. You're looking at a Tennessee Titans team that has no receiving core, and they're missing their MVP caliber running back in Derrick Henry. You know who's not missing its MVP caliber running back? The Indianapolis Colts. Jonathan Taylor is literally running his way into the Offensive Player of the Year discussion. And if you need any proof of that, just look at the 5 touchdown performance he had when the Colts went to Buffalo and eviscerated one of the best teams in football, the Buffalo Bills. This pick has everything to do with one man, just Jonathan Taylor. I'm not a Carson Wentz guy. I know, Jarrett, you've got your little man crush on him.
I do.
But Jonathan Taylor is the reason that the once 0-3 Colts are now relevant at 6-6, 7-5 against the spread, and why they're fighting for a playoff position. By the way, away from Lucas Oil Stadium, the Colts have covered 4 out of 5 contests on the road, and the Houston Texans have the second worst rushing defense in the National Football League. Throw the spread and covering numbers out the window. That's the only thing I need to know. Jonathan Taylor's going to run rampant. Colts going to win this by 17+.
Yeah, Indianapolis has gotten themselves back into the playoff picture. Not the first time they've done this under Frank Reich. Remember, they started 0-5 a few years ago and they made the playoffs. So, look, they're well coached. Jonathan Taylor's an absolute freak. Carson Wentz is having a damn great year. His best statistical season, even from the 2017 year, which he was going to win the MVP before ripping up his knee. So, look, Wentz is playing great. Taylor is playing like a man possessed. Defensively, they're still one of the more slept on defenses because you don't know too many guys not named Darius Leonard on the defense. So, Indianapolis is, they were one of my crushes coming into the year. I said they were going to win the AFC South. A few weeks ago, that looked doomed. Right now, still very much on the table. I think they're 2 games back, although Tennessee does hold the tiebreaker. So that is one thing that is not working in their favor. But look, if the Titans keep sliding, the Colts keep winning, this could turn out to be, Indianapolis could complete the comeback. I mean, they should cover a 9-point spread against Houston.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you want to look at that division, the Colts are technically 2 games back, but mind you, they're really 3 games back because the Titans went 2-0 against them. But the Titans have no A.J. Brown for the next couple of weeks. They've got no Julio Jones. They've got no Derrick Henry for the season.
They're throwing you and I on offense right now, man.
Exactly. And the Colts do have one of the more favorable schedules the rest of the way. So as your roommate pops in here, I think,
Riley.
Even though they're down 3 games, the Colts winning the division is not entirely crazy to think of.
Yeah, no, it's not. And that was the funniest cameo I've ever seen in my life. You know what? And all the times I've been doing podcasting, that is the first time that has ever happened. So
we can have a lot of firsts here on Plays and Parlays.
We could.
Jarrett, what's your 4th pick?
Yeah, let me get into my 4th pick. I'm going to take the Jets plus 6.5 against the Eagles. I am not a believer in the Eagles. I don't care that they went on a little bit of a win streak. I bet the Giants to cover against them last week and they won outright. So would you look at that?
They tried to give it away, by the way.
They did. I mean, they tried their damnedest, but thank God they did not. So look, Jalen Hurts he's a unique talent. Like, I'm not saying that he's untalented, but when it comes to their offense, like, granted, it started off bad. They've started to run the ball a little bit better, which is good to see because they didn't even try to run the ball in the first half of the year. They started to pick that up a little bit. Right now, though, I do think that just don't buy the Eagles, man. I think that's what it comes down to. This doesn't come down to me believing in the Jets because anybody who believes in the Jets should have their head examined. But this comes down to me just not believing in the Eagles being capable of, like, putting together just ginormous lopsided victories. I think that they should win the game. Don't get me wrong. But I think that the Jets can keep it within a touchdown. Again, this is more about not believing in the Eagles than it is about believing in the Jets.
Well, you're a little nicer than me. You said head examined. I thought you were going to say should have their heads chopped off, but right. Really should. The one thing that scares me about this game is not necessarily Jalen Hurts or the Eagles' offense. It's the Eagles' defense. They do have a pretty good defense. Right. They've had, honestly, an incredible year.
Darius Slay is going off, man.
Yeah, and the Jets have not really been able to muster anything on the offensive side of things, with the exception of that crazy Tennessee win earlier this year. Zach Wilson himself has not been a part of any breathtaking moments on offense for the Jets. So I could see the Eagles winning this one, 20-6 or 20-7. Sure. It's not necessarily their offense that's going to blow the doors off, but the Jets' offense is even worse.
Let's see if Zach Wilson can find another fun way to throw an interception this week. What the hell is that?
I know it pains you. I know how much you love
it. It does. Yeah, I mean, throwing it off a guy's back, and let's move on.
My 5th pick, it's the Jacksonville Jaguars covering a 13-point spread against the Rams. Now, I would have never, 1 month ago, thought that I would be taking Jacksonville in this game. If I saw this spread a month ago, I would have said Rams minus 13. Hammer LA. I loved the Rams. The Rams were my Super Bowl favorite. But in the past month, they've gone 0-3 in the last 4 weeks. They do not have a win in the Von Miller era or the Odell Beckham Jr. era, for that fact. And in their 3 straight losses, the LA Rams have been outscored by 41 points over those 3 straight games, including one of those losses, actually the first in this stretch, which came to a Derrick Henry-less Tennessee Titans team. Right. I mean, the Rams are spiraling downwards. People are starting to say maybe Jared Goff wasn't the problem. Maybe Sean McVay's the problem. Maybe Matthew Stafford is a problem. And look, Stafford's got 5 interceptions over the past 3 games, over this 3-game losing streak. Prior to this streak, when they were 7-1, he had just 4 interceptions in the team's first 8 games. So things are problematic in LA. They're going to get back in the win column this week. I just don't think it'll be as easy as it should. And I like the Jaguars to cover plus 13.
Yeah, I think, the Rams should win this game. Jacksonville's been playing motivated football, though. I mean, they haven't been getting blown out by a trillion. I mean, yes, the record does not look good whatsoever, but they look much better than the team in the first month of the year, where it was just turnover machines. Trevor Lawrence wasn't playing well. Now, granted, Trevor Lawrence does need to find a way to make more plays on offense. But, yeah, this one, I think that the Jags do cover. I'm not going to bet it just because what if the Rams just decide, we need to get our heads out of our asses and just win by 30.
They need that.
Yeah, they do need that. And so it's not one that I'm going to bet, but it would not shock me if the Jags do cover. So let me get to my do you have something to add on that, Joe?
No. I was just going to say the thing I'm more concerned with right now about the Rams, I took them over 10.5 wins back in the preseason. Odds were plus 125. I thought it was favorable. Right now, I'm getting nervous. When they were 7-1, it looked like a lock, but now they're 7-4.
They'll get more than 10 wins.
I need them to go 4-2 the rest of the way.
I get it. And look, as good, I think that people expect like every team that they expect to be good all year, not have any sort of struggles. It's not going to happen. Like
the Packers.
Like the Packers. Yeah, sure, whatever. I mean, even then, that's not true. I mean, they start off the season, get blown out by the Saints. Everybody thinks the sky's falling in Green Bay, and then look at that. They're fine. So different teams struggle at different points in the year, and sometimes teams struggle for a little bit longer. Like Buffalo's had their own struggles. The Rams are having their own struggles right now. Rams are going to be fine. They're still one of my favorites to come out of the NFC. They're in a little bit of a slump right now because they added a lot of new pieces. I think they're going to be fine. So let me get into my next pick. I'm going to take the Giants plus 4.5 at Miami. Good for the Dolphins. I mean, they've won 3 straight now?
Yeah.
So they're sitting at 5-7. I mean, Tua is throwing like an incompletion a game or whatever the hell the stat is. I think he's thrown like 9 incompletions his last 3 or 4 games, which is great.
He's been lights out. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's been playing well and good for him. I still don't think he's going to be in Miami. I think he's very much just dress rehearsing for whoever's going to be his employer next year. Good for him though. And good for the Dolphins. That said, they're not going to just go on this magic carpet ride and win out. They're not talented enough to do that. This game's going to be close. Obviously, the lines in Vegas think it's going to be close. Plus 4.5. It's going to be a close game. I think the Giants cover. If the Dolphins win, it could be on a last-second field goal. They have had some bad luck on those this year, haven't they? Whether it was in London against Jacksonville or against the Falcons. They haven't had the best luck when it comes to games being decided at the last second. That said, if it does come down to something like that, whether they win, whether the Giants win, I think the Giants keep it close and force it to be one of those last drive situations where, a kick is going to decide the game.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this game. I think it's going to be a nail-biter. Not quite sure how to play the spread in this one, but maybe more on this to come later on in the show. So we'll see. But my 6th pick, my final pick against the spread, I'm going with the 49ers -3 in Seattle. Look, I love the Seattle Seahawks, and watching them struggle this year pains me. I'm a huge Pete Carroll fan, a huge Russ Wilson fan, a huge DK Metcalf fan. Nothing's going right for Seattle. The 49ers are going to be without Deebo Samuel for the next 1 to 2 weeks, meaning that he'll definitely miss this game. And that doesn't worry me like it should. Deebo is the heart and soul of this offense. Sorry, guys, it's not George Kittle anymore. It's Deebo Samuel because he is leading the team in receiving yards and he's leading the team in rushing yards. But no Deebo should be no problem when the Seattle Seahawks are 1-4 in the supposed home of the 12th man. That's straight up, by the way, not against the spread.
Right.
And they are one of the most anemic offenses in football at the moment. If you watched that Monday Night Football game between the Seahawks and the Washington football team, first off, I'm sorry. Secondly, we needed the Manning cast for that one because that was an absolutely painful game. And thirdly, if you paid attention to that game, then you would know that the Seahawks at one point had gone 3-and-out on 5 straight possessions for a total of 24 yards in those 5 straight possessions. I mean, it was just absolutely disgusting football to watch for both teams. But the Seahawks should have come out of that one on top, and they still couldn't do so. Like I said, they're 1-4 at home straight up. The Niners are 4-1 on the road straight up. The Seahawks at home are also just 2-3 against the spread. Things are broken in Seattle. Give me the Niners -3, Deebo or not.
All right, let me get into my last pick. I'm going to take the Buffalo Bills -2.5. Monday Night Football against the New England Patriots. Everybody and their mother has been in my Twitter mentions telling me how wrong I was about New England. And you know what? Look, granted, defensively, they've been ungodly. J.C. Jackson intercepts a pass. I think he actually just intercepted a pass as we started talking about this. He's incredible. So, look, they've won, what is it now, 6 straight games the Patriots have won?
They were 2-4. They're 8-4.
Well, look, that's great. Here's the thing. I'm still not afraid of Mac Jones. Still not afraid of Kendrick Bourne. Still not afraid of Nelson Aguilar. Like, they're winning these games because they're facing bad teams or depleted teams, and their defense is kicking some ass. Like, great. You beat Sam Darnold and the Panthers, somebody who I was very wrong about. You intercepted him 3 times, returned 1 for a touchdown. You beat the Jets. You almost lost to the Texans. Like, you just beat the Titans, who were throwing to Joe and I at receiver. So, like, yes, it's don't get me wrong. It's impressive to win 6 games in the NFL. I get that, but context is needed for this. Patriots, they're more than likely going to be a playoff team. That's fine. Bills are still going to win this division. I think they still have to play each other twice, if I'm not mistaken. They haven't played each other yet.
Yep, they do.
So, I mean, if Buffalo wins this game, they're right back in the driver's seat, taking control of the division. And then when they beat them again later on in Foxborough, I think a lot of people are just really infatuated right now by a 6-game win streak without looking at the parameters of how it happened. So, Buffalo -2.5. I love it. I think they win, take control of the AFC East, and don't look back for the rest of the year.
Hey, I mean, I hope that's the case. I keep wrestling with this game, going back and forth between Bills -2.5 or Pats money line. I've been pretty profitable off New England this season, especially over the 6-game win streak. But we'll see. This is a game I'm not writing off the Pats. Is Buffalo the far more talented team on offense? Absolutely. They have no Trey White on defense. His season's over. There are question marks, and Josh Allen, under immense pressure, has struggled this year. And I'm not going to put it past Bill Belichick in New England schematically to be pressuring him a ton. So I'm a little worried. I know the Bills have more talent, but I'm worried about Josh Allen going up against this Pats defense.
I'm rooting for a Bills win by 30. That's what
I'm rooting for it too. As long as I don't bet it, as long as I decide not to pull trig on Pats money line, I'm rooting for it too.
Sure.
My extra point. I told you this game was going to come back up. It's the New York Giants money line plus 175 in Miami. First off, Jarrett, you might know this, but as any New Yorker knows, there are going to be more Giants fans in attendance on Sunday than Dolphins fans. There are more New Yorkers in South Florida than there are native Floridians. And if you combine New Yorkers and Cubans, blows native Floridians out of the water. Look, since losing the first matchup between these two teams in 1972, the Giants have won 7 out of 8.
Jesus, you went back. Dolphins. You went way back in the research for this one.
I mean, they've only played 9 times. They lost the first meeting. They've won 7 out of 8 since, and they have not lost since 2003. Because as I was writing this down, I was thinking, when is the last time the Dolphins beat the Giants? And I was not yet watching football. I was 5 years old the last time it happened. That's why I correctly remembered that the Giants, since I've been watching them, have never lost to the Miami Dolphins. I don't think that's going to change. And I'm not picking them because of Saquon Barkley being back or because of Danny Dimes. I mean, hell, we don't even know if he's going to play. I'm picking the Giants even if Mike Glennon is their quarterback. And the reason for that,
the human pest dispenser.
That's terrible. The reason for that is because of their defense. It's because Xavier McKinney is going to give Tua nightmares, PTSD flashbacks to picking him off in practice during scrimmages at the University of Alabama. Xavier McKinney is one of the hottest. You want to talk about J.C. Jackson? Yeah. McKinney's one of the hottest defensive players in football right now. Give me Big Blue to end Miami's 3-game streak. I am all over the Giants' defense at the moment.
Love to hear it. You know what? I threw you a curveball because I am going to take the Chargers money line against the Bengals. I'm going to do it. Ooh. I know I should stay away. But here's the thing. I've actually had, if I'm not mistaken, I've had decent success betting on the Chargers this year. I know they boned me against the Ravens. That's one that got away from me. But look.
Me too.
Yeah. So, I mean, we both were in that same boat where we thought, all right, Justin Herbert, everything, there's no way this could go wrong. And it did. But, you know, as I said earlier, like, I just don't think that the Bengals are going to keep rattling off ginormous wins. Bengals have a tough rest of the way. I think they're going to kind of rotate back and forth, you know, win, loss, win. They could just go win, loss for the rest of the year. If they do that, they're in the playoffs. So the Chargers, I mean, they're trying to keep pace in an AFC West that just apparently everybody decided to be good in that division this year. So I think that they win this game, try to take it forward, and make a run at the division title. I still think Kansas City wins the division. Chargers are trying to, best case scenario for the Chargers, obviously they win the AFC West, but a lot of teams in the AFC above 500 fighting for those 3 playoff spots. Chargers, I think, are going to be one of them. I think the Bengals will be one of them as well. So this game has some very important ramifications because if the Bengals win this, they're 8-4. They have a very realistic chance of winning the AFC North if they win this game. So very large parameters behind this game.
Yeah, this is an important game for both sides. I think the Chiefs are going to start to run away with the AFC West. If you look at their 6 games remaining, 4 of them are against divisional opponents. They've got 2 with Denver, 1 with the Raiders, 1 with the Chargers. Right. And their other 2 games are against the Bengals and the Steelers. I'm kind of hoping that the Chiefs win out because I took them, you talk about futures. I took them over 12.5. So I need them to win 13 or more games. The only way they hit 13 is by winning out. And those were some pretty favorable odds too. I wouldn't put it past them. I would not put it past them at this point. The Chargers are probably their toughest opponent, probably their toughest matchup pound for pound.
Sure.
But for the Chiefs to go 0-2 against them in a season,
just don't see it happening.
It seems tough, And look, I know the Broncos and Raiders, it's tough to go 4-0 against those two teams, but the way the Chiefs are playing right now, the way that their defense is playing right now, I wouldn't put anything past them.
All right, so let's get into our teasers now, Joey. I'll put yours on the screen. You can take us through it.
Yeah, speaking of the Chiefs, I've got them in here, starting with the Cardinals -1.5. Look, I know I've done this before where I've said if I like him at this, I love him here and lock him in. I did it with the Bengals against the Jets. I know. I'm sorry. I'm going to own up to it. The Cardinals -1.5 is a lock. The Bears have no sign of a pulse. Doesn't matter if it's Andy Dalton. Doesn't matter if it's Justin Fields. And you all know I said it a few minutes ago. I've been saying it all year. I love Justin Fields. There's no pulse, and that's because of Matt Nagy, not because of anyone on the team, but because of their leader on the sideline. Cardinals -1.5 is a lock in any teaser you want to put it in. Vikings -1. You know, the Detroit Lions are actually one of the best teams in football against the spread. They're 7-4 against the spread. This game is obviously Lions +7. But when you tease it down to -1, well, the Lions are 0-10-1. So that means that 10 of the 11 teams that they've played have covered -1. The only team that hasn't, Jarrett, your Pittsburgh Steelers. Correct. So I like the Vikings -1 there. Colts -3. Again, I think they're going to win this one realistically by 17. Jonathan Taylor, there's no way the Texans can stop him. He just went up against the best running defense in the league, and he still managed over 80 yards on the ground. He's going to go for $150 against Houston. And then the Chiefs -3.5. I don't really like them -9.5. I think that's a big number, even though they're far more talented than Denver. Denver is still a tough team. 9.5's a lot. But at -3.5, when you're dealing with a coach like Andy Reid, who is the best head coach all time coming off the bye week, 19-3, that pretty much guarantees the Chiefs are going to win this game, and they're probably going to win it by 4 or more points.
Yeah, you don't want to play Andy Reid off the bye, so I like it. When it comes, I mean, Minnesota, I mean, you pointed it out earlier. Would it shock me if the Lions just remembered that game from earlier this year? They remember the last-second field goal, and they just played motivated and beat Minnesota? It wouldn't. That's the only one that scares me out of this. So
that's pretty crazy that the Lions are the only team that's scared.
I know, isn't it weird? So let me take you through mine. I'm going to take the Chargers +9. Again, I think that they should win this outright. Again, this could be a game that, you know, does go back and forth. So if the Chargers do lose, it's going to be a one-possession game, so they should cover +9. I like the Giants at +4.5. I'm going to like them at 10.5. I bet on the Giants. I've realized this. I bet on the Giants so much this year. I did it against Kansas City. I did it last week. So far, the Giants really haven't let me down too much, and I'm going to keep riding with them. San Francisco +2.5. I know that you're pretty confident in the 49ers. Not to say that I'm not, but anytime that 49ers Seahawks play, it's going to be one of those games that can go either way. I do think it is going to be within a field goal, though, regardless. So San Francisco +2.5, and I'm going to take the Colts -3.5. Same reasons you did. This game, it should be a blowout. Jonathan Taylor's fantastic. The Texans aren't. So I'm going to take the Colts -3.5 in the teaser.
I mean, that Colts game, by the way, Jarrett, I'm saying that they're going to win by 17. This is a game that I would truthfully, if you can, go alternate spread and up it to something like -12.5.
I wonder what those odds are. And here, I'll put your parlay on the screen as I look for it as we get into
let me know if you can
section.
get Colts -12.5.
Sure.
So my parlay, it's 6 teams, money line. It's nothing crazy. It's +715. Good odds, but nothing insane. Because I'm going with some favorites. I'm going with the Pitt Panthers. I took them straight up -3. So, of course, I'm going to take a money line. Same with Georgia. I mean, I think Georgia is going to beat Alabama by double-digit points. So, money line at I believe, -240. Really not that bad of a value. I've got the Minnesota Vikings, who I just teased down to -1. They're going to beat Detroit. Cardinals are going to throttle the Bears. Colts, same thing, going to murder the Texans. Let's see if I can just keep using different words each time. And the 49ers, they're going to beat Seattle. I'll keep that one simple. No craziness there. Just a Niners win in Seattle. So I've covered all of these games already. No new games, no curveballs. That's my 6-team money line parlay +715.
And by the way, the Colts -12.5, at least on FanDuel, +120 if you want to go alt spread on that. Yeah.
That's awful. You're up in it 3.5 points, and you're only getting +120.
Talk to FanDuel, mate. I didn't make it.
I know someone at FanDuel. I will be talking to her.
All right. So let me get into my parlay. I'm going to take the Chargers money line, Giants +4.5, Cardinals -7.5, Dallas -4.5 comes to +1542. I was surprised at that value as well. So my guess is the Chargers money line right now. That's at, I think, +140. That's the only thing that really upped the odds to that level. But everything else is spread. And anytime you bet spread, usually that that helps. And they're not alt spreads either. So, I mean, most of these are, the -110 value. So, Chargers money line kind of jacked that up a little bit. But yeah, plus 1542 for a 4-game parlay that I feel good about. So that's where we sit it. No survivors this week because Joe lost his survivor.
It finally happened. At the Texans. Oh, I can't believe it. I was literally saving Tennessee. I could have used them earlier this year. I was saving them for this game.
Fun fact, Joe, if you add Colts -12.5 alt spread to that parlay, the odds shoot up to plus 34.21. So
$10 on that would get you 342.
Yep.
I mean,
it's not horrible.
I'll go 5-5 with you if I want to be a really big spender.
We'll see. We'll talk after the show. But I know that you got to run. Went a little bit longer than expected. Appreciate everybody for tuning in as always. Joe, where can they find you on the socials?
Find me on Twitter at @TheJoeCirallo and on Instagram @JoeCirallo. And even TikTok @Joe_Cirallo, because I've been throwing my lock of the week on TikTok, and I'm feeling the Cardinals -7.5 lock of the week.
All right, and I know I look homeless right now, but I promise I'm not. You can follow me on Twitter @JBaileyNFL. Help me get my blue badge back. It's the only thing in life that I value.
Jesus.
So, all right, we appreciate y'all for tuning in. We'll see you next week, same time, same place for week 14. Good Lord, the season's going by so quick, but we appreciate you, and we hope we help you make some money. We'll see you next week.